Last week, I got to attend my very first Pokémon World Championship, and while there, had a chance to play Pokémon Legends Z-A EARLY. So today I wanted to share everything I learned about the upcoming game. From details you might not know about the new real-time battle system, to exactly why rogue Mega Evolutions are popping up across Lumiose, and even some secrets Game Freak may not have wanted us to see just yet. There's quite a lot to cover, so let's get right into it. First, a quick breakdown of exactly how the demo worked. There were two separate stations that each let you experience different parts of the game, both on the Nintendo Switch too, so my entire time playing I experienced super smooth 60 frames per second and very quick loading times. The first station places you quite early in the story, and your goal is to take down 3 trainers in the ZA Royale, which if you don't know is a tournament that takes place across Lumiose City only at nighttime. The second station places you just a little further in the story and has you following Zygarde through the streets of Lumiose, eventually leading to a boss battle against a rogue Mega Absol. Because of the cutscenes throughout these segments, I believe this demo is actually very close to what we'll get in the final game, as opposed to previous Pokemon demo versions, which almost always had a unique story and put you in an enclosed sandbox. Due to this though, at least at the Pokémon World Championship, the staff were pretty strict in making sure players didn't stray too far from the main objective. But more recently, the same demo has been available to play at Gamescom in Germany, and the staff there seem to be a lot more lax in letting players explore more freely, giving us loads of new footage and information in areas way beyond what I was allowed to experience in the World's demo. So huge shout out to Fanmade Tim for this bonus footage, as well as Nintendo as they were able to capture direct gameplay of the demo, giving us a much cleaner look than what I and others were able to film with the TV footage. As always, you can find the links for all the footage used in this video down in the description. With all that established, let's finally get into part 1 of the ZA demo, the Battle Zone. We begin in front of Hotel Z, and as soon as you get control of your character, you're actually able to open up the menus, including the map. And this alone gives us so much information, including 6 wild zones marked on the map already, despite the fact we've likely only been to the first wild zone so far, as it's the only one where you can actually see some of the Pokemon available. But what gives us even more insight is actually the missions screen. As you can see, the very first mission is to recover our bag from a Pancham. And seeing as it's mission 1, we can assume that is the very first thing that happens as soon as we arrive in Lumiose. We know from previous trailers that we arrive here via this train station, and during this mission is likely when we get to choose our starter Pokemon too. The second mission is called Escape from the Battle Zone, and implies that after meeting our rival, they want to take us to Hotel Z. But on the way there, night falls and we get caught in a battle zone, the very same one that players got to take on in the demo, as Urbane actually says it's in the same spot as last night. Anyway, the third mission tells us that after escaping this battle zone, the next morning our rival wants to show us the ropes, which likely means they'll take us to Wild Zone 1, where we get the chance to catch some wild Pokemon for the first time, which explains the few Pokemon you get in the demo matching those that we've seen in Wild Zone 1 so far. Which finally brings us to where the demo begins. Now at this point you actually have the freedom to turn around and enter Hotel Z if you wanted to, which I actually did my first time playing, but unfortunately wasn't able to record footage of it because I lost my tripod. Thankfully someone out there did record what the inside of Hotel Z looks like, and despite the demo staff explicitly telling me not to go in the elevator, they certainly didn't stop this person. As you can see, they were able to explore the second floor hallway and even room 202, which I assume is our own room since in the demo you actually had a key to this room in your key items. Oh, and it looks like you can take the elevator up to the terrace we've seen in plenty of trailers. There might be other rooms you can access in the hotel, but like I mentioned, as soon as the staff noticed I was in here, they basically told me to get the heck out.
Talking to my man AZ right now.
So as long as you remain on the B floor, don't take the elevator.
Alright, cool.
Thankfully I had a second time slot to try the demo, so after my first time playing, I immediately booked it to the nearest Target and bought a selfie stick, which I then awkwardly clenched between my legs, and that's how I was able to get this footage. And since this was my second time playing, I had a bit of an understanding of the battle mechanics already, so I locked in and went straight for the first trainer battle. As you know, Pokémon Legends Z-A features real-time battles instead of the turn-based ones from every prior game. And this comes with a couple of changes to the core mechanics of Pokémon. Like, instead of PP, moves actually have varying cooldowns depending on their effects and how powerful they are. In order to attack though, you first have to lock onto an enemy with ZL, Otherwise, you just run around with your Pokemon following behind, but the move options themselves don't appear unless you're locked in. And I noticed a few people struggling to get this concept at first. No shade to this specific player, it was multiple people that didn't seem to get that you have to lock on in order to attack. I myself struggled with figuring out how to dodge, like I'd seen in some of the trailers before. Since you don't actually get to control your Pokemon directly, they instead loosely follow the movements of your trainer. But at least when I was locked on, they didn't seem to follow me around nearly fast enough to dodge any attacks. So I think maybe untargeting might have helped out here, as I noticed when you're not locked in, Pokemon follow you a lot faster. Definitely a bit of a learning curve to this new battle system, but once you get the hang of it, it's very satisfying. Sense moves have cooldowns now though. After using one, you have to wait before being able to use it again. And early on, Pokemon don't have a whole lot of moves, so dodging would have come in really handy while waiting for those cooldowns. I noticed some moves are actually affected by terrain as well. For example, in the second trainer battle, I was using Weedle against this guy's Bunnelby and noticed my Poison Sting wasn't doing any damage when I tried attacking it through this barrier. I know that might seem obvious, but maybe because it's Pokemon, I expected it would just magically go through and damage it anyway, but to my surprise, the environment actually blocked the attack, so this could definitely play a big role in protecting yourself from enemy attacks by hiding behind obstacles. Let's rewind a little though, because this second battle is actually meant to teach you about the power of back strikes, making their glorious return from Legends Arceus. Of course, the classic way of starting trainer battles returns in this game as well, and there's a very clear indicator at the top of the screen showing you exactly how close you are to getting spotted. Not only do sneak attacks seem to be a guaranteed critical hit for big damage, but they also don't count for the move's cooldown, meaning as soon as the battle starts, you can actually use that same move again, as you can see with Fletchling's Peck here. So sneak attacking enemies with super effective moves and following up with another super effective hit can basically win you the battle before the opponent even gets a chance to react. And yes, even outside of battle, you can choose to use any of the moves your Pokemon currently has equipped, as long as there's a target to use it on, like these rocks right outside of Hotel Z. Unfortunately, neither Chikorita's Tackle or Razor Leaf was able to break them, so I think you probably need a specific move like Rock Smash. This wasn't the case against Mega Crystals though. As you can see, Tackle was easily able to break these, and even the ones growing up on this wall I could hit with Razor Leaf. And breaking these dropped Mega Shards, which we've learned from past trailers. You can trade at the Quasartico building to get Mega Stones. But now we're definitely getting ahead of ourselves, so after defeating this second trainer, there's actually a gate leading out of the battle zone, which you could seemingly just walk out of. However, the World's demo staff made sure players didn't go over there, but honestly, I don't get why they were so strict, cause there wasn't a whole lot to see out here besides a couple NPCs. There also seemed to be a lot of invisible walls making sure you don't stray too far from the battle zone, and even some text boxes explicitly telling you to head back to the battle zone, so I don't think there was anything too crazy that would get spoiled out here. Hold up, was that a Go-Goat mailbox? That would actually make a lot of sense as a replacement for the Go-Goat ride service we had in X and Y, since there are so many taxis in Lumiose now. Huh, guess there was a big spoiler in this area after all. Back at the first battle zone, there was one more trainer to face, but he just had a Weedle that easily went down, which meant we could now take part in the promotion match. First though, it's worth noting that going back to your rival will actually heal your party up to full HP. I don't think this luxury will be available in every battle zone though, since this is still the tutorial one. And your other friends from Team MZ were also standing around to give you tips and hand out useful items like this citrus berry. Not only can you use this to heal your Pokemon like a potion, but you can also make your Pokemon hold it. I know this is typical of almost every Pokemon game, but Legends Arceus actually didn't have held items, so I'm glad to see that they're back here in Legends Z-A. There were actually a lot of items to pick up around the battle zone, and watching some other people's demo gameplay, it seems like these were totally randomized. One of the items I managed to pick up was XP Candy, which I used to give my Weedle enough experience to be able to evolve. This does unfortunately mean there probably won't be mid-battle evolutions like we've seen in the anime, since you have to evolve Pokemon from the menu. I know some people were hoping for them with the introduction of real-time battles, but maybe next generation. While we're in the Pokemon menu though, let's talk about some of the other stuff we learned here. Like the fact Pokemon now have a size classification, which makes a lot of sense considering alphas are returning. In the summary screen, we can also see that stats and natures are pretty much exactly like traditional Pokemon games, but unfortunately there are no abilities in Legends Z-A. Again, this carries over from Legends Arceus, but may come as a surprise since a lot of Mega Evolutions rely on their change of ability to even be considered viable. It is possible that certain Mega Pokemon could have their abilities baked in, like we saw with Regigigas. So far though, this hasn't been confirmed in the demo or any of the trailers, but we did learn at the very end of the World Championship that all the new Mega Evolutions introduced in Legends Z-A will likely be transferable to the upcoming Pokémon Champions game, so we'll definitely get to see their abilities in full effect there. Now, as far as stats go, they're almost exactly like you'd expect, but there is a huge change to the speed stat. Thanks to these trainer tips that pop up during some of the loading screens, we learned that speed will actually affect move cooldown. The higher a Pokemon's speed, the sooner it'll be able to use moves. And honestly, this sounds kind of OP since a lot of fast Pokemon also have high attacking stats, meaning they'll not only hit harder, but also way more often in Z-A. Because of this, I imagine they're gonna have some kind of mechanic to balance the slower Pokemon, like maybe defensive stats are a little stronger in this game. And though there's no mention of speed affecting how fast Pokemon move around the battlefield, chunkier Pokemon definitely look like they walk slower and will therefore be worse at dodging. So on that note, I did notice one thing that might point towards Pokemon being overall tankier in this game. As anyone that got to play this demo will agree, the final challenge of this battle zone was dang near impossible. Now, Pidgeotto's not exactly known to be a tanky Pokemon, but this particular one was level 18. And as you can see from my own demo experience here, even with a super effective sneak attack, which is guaranteed to crit by the way, we barely even scratched it. I used this damage calculator to check how much a level 8 Mareep using Thundershock on a level 18 Pidgeotto would do in Scarlet and Violet. And as you can see, it should have done around 25% of its HP with a critical hit. So the fact our Thundershock did so little damage means either they really beefed this particular Pidgeotto up for the demo, or damage calculations have been totally changed in Legends Z-A to accommodate for the real-time battle system. Pidgeotto itself is pretty fast though, and as you can see, it absolutely destroyed my Mareep before I even got a chance to get a second attack off. It then proceeded to obliterate my Kakuna, and then my demo session abruptly ended. Upon reviewing this footage though, I realized this is actually the rank X trainer. Which is weird because before we went in the battle zone, our rival actually confirms that we're still rank Z. So shouldn't we be facing the rank Y trainer? Actually, I'm just now noticing that if we somehow manage to defeat this Pidgeotto, it looks like we could actually rank up twice. Definitely explains why this trainer is so overleveled compared to our Pokemon, but also makes me wonder why they're here and where the lower ranked trainer could be. I asked the staff if anyone actually had managed to defeat it, and to my surprise, they said a single trainer had. Apparently they used a sneak attack to hit it with Poison Sting, which resulted in the Pidgeotto getting poisoned. They then made sure to stay far away out of Pidgeotto's range and basically just ran around until the poison ticked it down. Kinda cheap, but honestly a genius strategy if you ask me. A few final notes on trainer battles though. Just like you can sneak attack enemies, they can also get the upper hand on you. This only seems to happen against specific trainers though, as this message didn't pop up in other instances where I was spotted. But if an opponent does ambush you, then similarly they'll be able to get a free attack off before you can counter. You can also switch your Pokemon freely in trainer battles, but there's actually a small delay when you send out a new one, as they do this little battle cry. That means you have to be careful about the timing of switching, as you could take free damage while your Pokemon is being sent out. And finally, you can also forfeit matches by pressing the minus button, but this will come at the cost of half of your prize medals, which I believe determine how much prize money you get at the end of the ZA Royale. But trainer battles aren't the only battles you'll be taking on in Legends Z-A, of course. And this finally brings us to the second half of the demo, Rogue Mega Evolution. Before we get into that though, I think it's time for a snack break.
I know I'm not the only one that loves snacking while watching YouTube videos, so if you're like me, you're gonna love the sponsor Tokyo Treat and Sakurako. Both the boxes this month look super cute. Looks like there's a moon theme going on. Tokyo Treat has more modern snacks that you might typically find at the konbini or Japanese convenience store. Let's open it up, see what we got. Ooh, so many bunnies. While people in the West see a man on the moon, in Japan, it's a busy little bunny. We got Pikachu! Whoa, you can win a Pikachu too. That looks like an exclusive one. Yeah, it's from the Pokemon Cafe. Everything looks so good. Are you kidding? What shall we eat? I mean, I really want to try these. I feel like we also have to do the Pokemon. These are fall fruit jelly. This is such a random assortment of Pokemon. We got Sprigatito, Wiglet, Pikachu, and Alolan Executor. I'll go with Alolan Executor because he's funny looking. That's some very strong grape flavor. I'm actually wondering if they're all grape because they have different color names on the lids, but they all look the same. You are potato. Oh, pure potato. That makes a lot of sense. It's actually pretty cool, like being able to read some of the names of these snacks after studying Japanese for like the last year. What is that actually? Kind of tastes like seaweed. Yep, seaweed salt potato chips.
Does he want one?
I forgot I had Mega Victory Bell up there. Now, let's move on to Sakurako. This month's theme is Autumn Moon Festival, just like with Tokyo Treat. Tsukimi Cookie, that's the featured snack for this month. That's so freaking cute, look at that. Oh my god, what? Everything is bunny themed. I'm gonna have a tough time picking the snacks for this one. Oh, look at how beautiful this is. What the heck? This might be my favorite cup we've ever gotten from them. This is so cute. What? You're a little late to the party, Cheese. But I guess, you know, they say better late than never. I think I'm gonna try the bunny manju. Look, it even has a little tail nub at the back. You know how many times I've told you, these treats are not for you. But it is really delicious for humans, though. And of course, every Sakurako comes with a special tea. Ooh! Oh my gosh, wait, what is that? That smells so familiar. It's a blend of wheat, black soybeans, barley. You could be eating a snack while watching the rest of this video if you'd signed up with the link last month. But it's not too late. Go in the description, sign up, get yourself some delicious Japanese snacks delivered right to your door. Thank you again, Tokyo Treat and Sakurako, for sponsoring this video.
Now on to the second half of the demo, which like I mentioned was set up at a completely separate station and places you just a little later into the story. Though perhaps not too much further since our Chikorita was only at level 15. I have a feeling on day 1 of the World Championship, a lot of people playing the demo tried venturing to other parts of Lumiose because as soon as I started this session, my designated staff overseer really wanted to make sure I just followed Zygarde. Despite this, I was able to do a little sightseeing and noticed a path leading down into the canal, which another person's gameplay confirmed actually had an invisible wall anyway, so again, I don't know why they were being so strict, but I also spotted some wild Bunnery chilling inside Wild Zone 6, which seems to stretch vertically into the rooftops and down into the canal too. Lumiose sewers, anyone? As you're following Zygarde through these streets, you'll no doubt notice some Mega Crystals along the way, which I mentioned earlier you can use your attacks to break. Now, I don't know if this was a slip-up, but the staff member helping me out actually said these Mega Crystals are the reason wild Pokemon are Mega Evolving.
But yeah, so the rogue Mega Pokemon is...
So the rogue Mega Pokemon, they're coming into contact with those.
Nice.
That's why they're turning into Mega Pokemon.
Okay, cool.
And they need your help. They need your help to destroy those shards because they're harmful to them, right?
Yeah.
Very interesting little bit of lore that the crystals seem to be the cause of this overload in Mega Energy. So I really wonder who or what's making these crystals appear. We then get even more lore as AZ and Emma appear to give us the power of Mega Evolution. Apparently AZ's Floette can detect rogue Mega Pokemon? He gives this Lucario a Mega Ring for us, and together we take on our first Mega Evolved Rogue. Oh yeah, I guess I should mention that Zygarde actually carries us up to this rooftop, potentially hinting at it becoming a ride Pokemon later in the game that lets you jump up to the roofs and maybe run around the city faster. But now let's get into the Rogue Mega Absol battle, and how it slightly differs to the trainer battles we took on before. The biggest difference is Rogue Mega Pokemon actually seem to target you, the trainer, not your Pokemon. And this means when you're not locked on, you can actually run around the battlefield and more importantly, roll to dodge their attacks. The staff member confirmed that your trainer can take up to 4 hits before blacking out, indicated by this effect that builds up around the screen, very similar to how it did in the previous Legends game. Unlike Legends Arceus though, it looks like your trainer's health does regenerate slowly over time, even in boss battles. As you can see, the effect around the screen slowly fades away. Your Pokemon of course has their own HP bar, and since the boss targets you, the trainer, the only way your Pokemon can get hurt is if they stand in the way of an attack, or if the boss uses a big AoE move like Absol's Dark Pulse. But there's a neat little trick to avoid damage in these situations, as you can actually recall your Pokemon back into its ball during boss battles. Just like with switching though, when you eventually send your Pokemon back out, they will have that battle cry animation, so you gotta make sure to time it properly in order to avoid taking a free hit. You can also use healing items on your Pokemon during Rogue Mega boss battles, but you'll notice there's a cooldown between using items, so you can't just spam potions. Anyway, you might have noticed that when you attack a Rogue Mega, they drop little chunks of energy officially called Mega Power Orbs. Picking these up will of course fill up your Mega meter, but the meter also fills up every time you use an attack. But you don't actually have to hit these moves. As you can see, the energy is gained immediately upon pressing the attack button. And this potentially answers what the C+ we've seen on certain moves could be. I believe moves with this symbol will charge up your Mega energy just a little more than moves without it. Of course, once your Mega meter is fully filled up, you can Mega Evolve your Pokemon as long as it's holding its corresponding Mega Stone. Once Mega Evolved, it looks like moves no longer recharge your meter, but instead do more damage, though it could be because the Mega Pokemon itself has higher stats. You can still recharge your energy by picking up the orbs though, which will extend the time you stay Mega Evolved. You might have also noticed that occasionally your attacks can stun the enemy, and I confirmed with the demo staff this won't increase your damage, just basically gives you a window to land a couple free hits. Once the meter runs out of energy though, you'll of course revert back out of Mega Evolution. But something really interesting in Legends Z-A is you can actually Mega Evolve again if you fill the meter back up in time. And I noticed the second time I Mega Evolved, it didn't play the whole transformation animation again, just seamlessly happened mid-battle. I do wonder if this means we could potentially Mega Evolve 2 different Pokemon though? Not at the same time, obviously, but say we did have another Pokemon capable of Mega Evolving, I assume if we filled up the Mega meter we could switch to that Pokemon and Mega Evolve them instead. So building a full team of Mega Evolving Pokemon could actually be even more viable than it was back in previous games that featured Mega Evolutions. That didn't stop me back in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire though. I had like 5 Pokemon that could Mega Evolve. Overall, I found this new battle system very fun and satisfying so far. Like I said, there are some mechanics I still couldn't quite figure out, like how to get Pokemon to dodge better, so I do think the whole system will take some getting used to for new players, but once you get the hang of it, there's no denying these real-time battles are going to be an absolutely chaotic blast, and I'm so excited to try out the multiplayer mode. After defeating Mega Absol, the demo actually continues for just a little longer, giving us a tease at where the story's headed. We learned that a certain company, most likely Quasartico, is closely monitoring the whole Rogue Mega Evolution situation, and we need to keep winning in the Z-A Royale to get more information about them. At least that's AZ's plan, so I wonder why he's so curious about Quasartico. Also, you actually get to catch the Absol you defeated and get its Mega Stone afterwards, so assuming you get to keep Lucario too, that means you get 2 Mega Evolutions right off the bat. Our rival mentions that we've actually won a Z-A promotion match at this point too, so I think there might be a scripted battle after the first part of the demo, since looking at the previous trailer I found this scene where we seem to face against another Rank Z trainer in a promotion match, not the Pidgeotto from hell that we saw earlier, so maybe they really did put this trainer here just for the demo. And with that, the demo finally comes to an end, confirming this was mission number 9, and likely the night after we took part in the Z-A Royale from the first part of the demo. Speaking of which, going back to part 1 of the demo, I mentioned how at least at the World Championship, staff were quite strict in making sure you didn't stray too far from the Z-A Royale. But more recently at Gamescom, a new batch of players have been trying out Legends Z-A, and it seems like the staff there don't seem to care nearly as much about what you do in your 10-minute time limit. As is apparent in this footage from fanmate Tim, where instead of following Zygarde, he immediately turned around to explore this night market. Here we learned there's a stall selling various berries, and another one selling mints, which you can of course use to change your Pokemon's nature. But this is just scratching the surface of what Tim was able to discover though, because back in the first demo they realized that after defeating the first 3 trainers in the Z-A Royale, you could actually fast travel from the map. In fact, I just noticed in my own footage that the demo straight up tells you this through a tutorial pop-up, which I didn't notice while playing, but I have a feeling the staff wouldn't have let me anyway. Here we can confirm all the areas we've been to so far in the game though. And this includes Hotel Z and Professor Sycamore's lab. But Tim decided to fly back to the nearby Pokémon Center, where you can see your rival sitting on a bench with what looks like a side quest, or maybe where you end this story mission. Unfortunately, their demo session ended shortly after paying Nurse Joy a visit, which did give us a quick look at the new healing animation. Luckily, Tim's partner had their own play session lined up, and after the second trainer battle, they immediately wandered out of the Z-A Royale, revealing this Pokémon Center was actually right around the corner. You might notice that the rival isn't on the bench yet, so it seems like he pops up there after you've defeated 3 trainers and earned your battle ticket, or whatever it's called. From this area, you could actually walk all the way back to Wild Zone 1, with no invisible walls or random text boxes to stop you. Inside, we learned that wild Pokemon battles are a sort of hybrid between the trainer and rogue boss battles, mainly because it looks like your trainer actually can take damage from wild Pokemon attacks. But unlike bosses, these wild ones do seem to target your Pokemon, not you. We have seen alpha Pokemon are making a return though, so I imagine those might be a little more aggressive and target you. Maybe even certain bigger Pokemon might naturally lunge at the player. You can actually see the down arrow symbol here, which means you can actually recall your Pokemon during wild battles. So I also wonder what would happen if you recall your Pokemon. Like, I imagine the wild one wouldn't just stop their aggressiveness. I mean, you can see the eye symbol at the top too, so I'm gonna guess that they'll actually throw some moves towards you. Of course, you can also catch wild Pokemon, which I didn't get to test out myself, but since the ZL button is used to target an enemy, I imagine ZR will be what you use to throw Pokeballs, just like in Legends Arceus. From these trainer tips in the loading screen, we learn about another fun feature. Apparently, if you miss your Pokeball throw, there's actually a Pokeball collector that'll pick them up. Not sure if that means you get them back instantly, or there might be an NPC somewhere out there that you have to get your Pokeballs back from. You might have also noticed that while walking around, even when you're not in battle, whatever Pokemon is leading your party actually follows you around. That said, as soon as you start running, most Pokemon really struggle to keep up with your trainer. But speaking of returning features, for the first time since Gen 4, Pokemon actually take poison damage outside of battle again. Only the one leading your party seems to take damage though, so you can just switch to another one or even recall it into the ball to avoid taking any damage. Oh, and even if you're an irresponsible trainer like me, they don't actually faint, just stay at 1 HP, so don't worry Nuzlockers, your run is safe. Finally, we get to see that just beyond Wild Zone 1 is Professor Sycamore's lab. And again, because it was flyable too, that means at this point in the game, we've likely already been here once. Though it doesn't seem like this is where we get our starter Pokemon, because we would have had to go through the Wild Zone. As you probably know from the story trailer though, Professor Sycamore himself is no longer the main professor here, with ex-Team Flare member Mabel taking his place. It's still not clear exactly why Sycamore decided to give up his post, but we do see a couple picture frames up on the wall here referencing the Pokemon anime, including Sycamore's Garchomp. If I had to guess, he's probably researching the rogue Mega Evolutions. I mean, I imagine he's gonna show up at some point in Legends Z-A, considering we're likely his child. But it was really cool to see the lab rendered in full HD. It really doesn't seem like it's changed all that much since Pokemon X and Y, which makes me wonder just how much time has passed between these games. Finally, just outside the lab, I noticed one more curious finding up on this scaffolding. I haven't seen pink energy like this in any other trailers or gameplay, though it clearly looks like it's related to Mega Evolution energy. And my guess would be that it might just be an actual Mega Stone waiting to be picked up, since the glow looks very similar to a regular item, but much more intense and obviously pink, like the Mega Evolution energy. And that finally covers everything I learned from the Pokémon Legends Z-A demo. I tried my best to cover every single little detail I noticed, but there's bound to still be some stuff I missed, like this blocked off area I just noticed while editing. Don't think I've seen a straight up block symbol like this anywhere else, and it looks like a hologram, so probably Quasartico, since they're the ones who put all the other holograms up in the city. If you happen to notice anything else I missed, make sure to leave it in the comments below, and let me know what you think of Pokemon Legends Z-A so far. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to stay tuned. as I'm covering every bit of news that comes out about this game, and will of course be doing a full playthrough on release and plenty of guides as well. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.